Hey, Tea Time familia! Welcome to Tea Time with Marie, a virtual home for those who are looking to be encouraged and empowered through healing and spiritual growth, where true conversations without judgment and closed mindedness take place. Now, let's get started. Hello, Tea Time familia. It's your girl Marie here. Welcome back to another tea, guys. This one is pretty personal to me because I came across today's tea. It's definitely for me. It's for me. It's for me. I want to share with everybody, right? Because as I'm in this journey, I want to share with you guys everything and be transparent. And I've been going through it, guys. It's been a time where I'm just like, what is the purpose of everything, right? Like, I don't know if it's just me, but sometimes I just feel like, or lately I've been feeling like, what what is this for, God? Like, I just don't understand. Like, I feel like I'm sacrificing. I feel like I'm doing everything that I'm supposed to. I'm even doing things that I'm doing just to be obedient, even though I may not know what they are for later on, right? And I've been feeling a little down, right? A little discouraged. And shout out to the people that I have around me, that God has placed around me to uplift me. It's nice to have people like that, right? I feel like I'm always pouring out. I'm doing my teas, but in real life, with my family and friends, I feel like I'm always pouring out, and I love to do that. I feel like I was blessed to do that. I feel like that is part of my purpose, right? To pour into people. I am capable of doing that, right? But it's nice when people are pouring into me and where I'm getting, different encouragements. So shout out to you for that. Everyone that has been there for me these past, I would say a couple weeks. It's just been a little bit of a roller coaster, and I'm sure you guys have felt this way as well at one point or another, right? Where you feel like, what is the point of all of this? Like, why am I doing all this work? And, like, where is the fruit of my work? Where is the fruit of my labor? Where is this even going? Am I doing things right? Like, why am I being asked to do this or that, right? And as I was prepping myself for tea time, I always write like little notes and stuff like that as I'm studying the Bible, as I'm studying the word. And then I usually just took it away. And I came across this one, and I was like, wow, this is tea. Like, the tea is for me, but I want to share with you guys as well, because there may be other people that feel like, how I've been feeling, and need a little bit of encouragement and need a little bit of a word to, like, get yourself to the next day, to the next hour, right? Because sometimes it's just one breath at a time. And I found this note that I wrote to myself. I love it. It says, you don't always understand at the moment what is going on or what you are required to do, right? Or why you're required to do it, right? But later on, you do. The pieces fall together. There are things asked of you this season that may not make sense, but later they will fit right in. And it's crazy. I love how God works, because when I wrote this, I probably wasn't even feeling like this, but I wrote this for myself, a note for myself, and then I found it recently, and it truly touched my heart, right? Because there are things this season that God has asked of me to do that make no sense, right? Or, what am I doing? But later on, they will fit in. I haven't gotten to that exact part just yet, but after finding this, no, I have faith, and I truly believe in what I wrote to myself, that they will later fit in, right? And then I go on, because it looks like here I was studying, guys. I kid you not. Okay, I was writing notes to myself. I was studying in Exodus in chapter 25. That's what I was. It looks like here I was studying, right? And it talks about how God told the people, right, when He had taken them out of captivity, when they were getting out of Egypt with Moses. If you guys know the story of Moses, right? He was sent to free God's people. And when all this was occurring, right, when they were finally leaving, God told the people to gather metals and gemstones and woods and other linens and things like that, gold, silver, from the Egyptians. Like, go to them, they will give it to you, right? And as I'm reading that, right, I'm like, God, like, they're going into the wilderness. They're going, to the unknown. Why do they need to grab these things, right? Like, wouldn't they just, like, wouldn't you just want us to pack water and food and get out of there? What is the point, right? And then later on, as I continue to read, right, later on in Exodus in chapter 25, I find out, right, later on, look at this, right? Because as I'm reading the book, as I'm reading the story of Moses, that's when I was questioning, right? I'm like, why are you asking them to grab these things that maybe at the moment seem kind of useless, right? Like, why do they need gold and silver, and why do they need these linens? Like, they need to grab their food and water and get out of there before, right, Pharaoh changes his mind again, right? Like, get out of there before, like, it all turns back, right? That's what I was thinking at that moment. But of course, you got to go a little bit further into the story. And later on, right, find out in time, they use those things to build the tabernacle, which is where God will dwell with his people. That was used to build his tabernacle, the Ark of the Covenant. That was used to build where God will dwell with them, right? That was used to build later on where God would be with them, right? Like those things were may not have seemed necessary to take during that time, but later on it all fit in. And these things, right? And that's how that this is what I excuse me guys, and this is what I felt. I literally felt like I was reading that story all over again, right? When I opened this note for myself and I was like, wow, I understand, right? So if you need a word to know that there is sometimes occasions when God tells you to do things that don't make sense, or you feel like you're sacrificing and nothing is fitting into place, and nothing is working out, this is a good story to go back to, because as I was reading, I'm thinking like, why would they need all that stuff? And then later on, it's so God could dwell with them, it's so God could be in their presence. And that touched me, because you know what? At this moment, I don't know why God. I'm still not there, guys. I will get there and I will tell you guys. I still don't know why God is asking me to do certain things, right? But I'm trusting, and it's hard, right? Like you have to trust in the unknown. You have to trust in things that you don't see. You need to have faith and keep going, even, or I would say especially, right? When things don't go your way, because it's really easy to have faith and to trust when things are going your way. I can attest to that. But when things are not, and when things are getting confusing, when things you feel like you're backtracking, when things may even seem worse than before, right? That's when you need to trust in God. And this story and this note to myself, shout out to me, right? This note to myself that I wrote brought me hope, right? Brought me more understanding, brought me confidence in knowing that I need to keep pushing forward, and that I need to keep trusting God, and I need to keep going forward, because right now things may not make sense to me, but later on they will. Just like the people of God, right? Just like the Israelites, right? Just like they may not even have understood why God was asking them to take all this stuff. Later on, the things that they did, right? The tools that they had was used, right? For the purpose of God. God used that to become closer to them, right? So there is going to be seasons where you have to do things that don't make sense, and then later on they will fit in, right? And I've gone through things like that. I feel like we forget, right? We tend to forget what God does for us, right? It's like he does something for us and then we're asking for the next thing. Okay, God, thank you for that. Now let's do the next thing, right? But it's good to remember, especially when you are in those tough times, to remember what God has done for you already, because his track record is amazing. So if you look back of everything that he's already done for you and how faithful he has been, it helps you and encourages you to be like, okay, I think I could do this a little bit longer. I think I can trust him for a little bit longer. I think I could be patient, a little bit more patient, right? I think I could hold out a little bit longer when you remember, right? And I've had those times in my life, and I'm human. So during these times, I felt discouraged, and I found this note just to remind myself. I definitely think that it was God, right? At the same time, at that moment when I was writing it, I may not have even really understood how it was going to touch me and how it was going to help me later on in the future. Look at that. But now here, it is helping me. It's helping me to understand that things may not make sense right now, but later on, they will. Okay? God's word is not. It's not a void, okay? And everything that he says he will do for you, he will do for you, right? Like his promises are real, and those things are going to happen for you. And if he did promise, if it was God that promised them to you, if it was God that spoke on your job, on your finances, on your home, on your marriage, on whatever it is, on whatever it may be that you're going through right now, it will come to pass, right? And there will be things that you will be required to do, because I always tell you, right, there's always a part that we need to do. And when we are doing those things and it does not make sense, okay, I just want you to focus on, you know, on the times that on the times that God has already pulled through for you, on the times that God has come through and shown you, right, that he can be trusted, that he will come through, right? And if you don't have a time, which I highly doubt it, get into your word, because like I was saying when I was reading the story of Moses, right? At the beginning, when he was telling these people to grab all these things when they were leaving, right? They're leaving the exile. They were in slavery, right? Like my thought would be like, grab the kids, grab the food and the water, and we're out, right? But God wanted them to go to the Egyptians, and they're gonna give you stuff, and you're gonna take that stuff. And at the time, it may not have made sense, but later on, that stuff was used to build the tabernacle, the thing that brought the place where God dwelled with them, right? The holy place, right? In that area where God was there, where his presence was there. And I think that's beautiful, right? I wrote here, things needed or need to be things needed to things needed to do or needed to be removed, right? Because sometimes God asks us to remove things and we don't want to, and it doesn't make sense, right? In this season, right? So the things that God is asking you to do, the things that God is asking you to remove that does not make sense, right? That it may be even hard to let go of, maybe even hard to do. I've been there, Titan Familia. But those things are so God can dwell. Those things are so God can get closer to you. Those things are so things can be in order so he can work in your favor, right? So he can pour out the blessing, so he can pour out his oil, right? Because God, I always say this, thank you, God, for your grace, because God is a good God, and there will always be grace, and there will always be mercy, right? But there's some things that we ask him, right, that it are not going to be given to us until we are aligned with his word, until we are aligned with the law. And there may be things that we need to do or things that we need to remove, right, that do not make sense, right? But those things are so he can dwell, so he can be closer to us, so he can pour out, so he can give us, right, our blessings in those things. There's nobody more. And I've been having to, just really take this in more and more every day. There's nobody more than God that wants to bless you. Like, God wants to bless you. God wants to pour into you. God does want all these things for you. But he's not going to give you things that you're not ready for, right? He's not going to give you things that are not in your time, right? And there's going to be things that you will need to do first, right? And those things may not make sense, right? So you need to trust and believe, right? And what is I was reading, I was looking up these definitions, right? Because you need to trust, you need to believe, and you need to have faith, right, in God. And knowing that in this season where it looks like nothing makes sense, where it looks like nothing's adding up, where it looks like you're giving and giving or sacrificing and doing the right things, right? And it's just like, what is what is the purpose, God? And that's where I've been, like, and I'm not perfect. I am human. There's nothing perfect about me except that God made me in his perfect image, and everything good about me is God, right? But what I need to do, okay, is to trust, is to believe and to have faith, right? And to trust means to believe in the real, oh my goodness, guys, real, reliability. I'm tongue twisting right now, right? To believe, to have, to believe in the truth, believe in the ability to strength of something or someone. So to believe the ability or strength of something or someone, right? So you have to believe that God can do what he says he's going to do. You have to believe that God does know what he's doing, because he does, right? So it's kind of our job to kind of get in line and be like, trust, which means to believe, right? And the ability or strength of something or someone, right? I believe, right? What does faith mean? Faith is the belief and trust, right? Loyalty to God. What does loyalty mean? Faithfulness to commitments, integrity, right? So we have to have trust, we have to have faith, and we have to be loyal, right? Because in this process, okay, it's going to require us to stay loyal to God. It's going to require us to do things that may not make sense, right? To keep on pushing when you want to give up, right? And that's loyalty. That is you showing your commitment to God, right? That is you showing your integrity. What kind of person are you? What kind of Christian are you, right? Do you truly love God, right? Or do you only love him when things are good, right? Because in the world that we live in, there will be ups and downs, and there will be things that we have to confront. And that's when we need to trust. We need to have faith, right? To trust is to believe, right? Believe in the ability or strength of something or someone. We need to have faith, the belief and trust and loyalty to God. And we need to have loyalty, which is faithfulness to commitments. And all three of those things, trust, faith, and loyalty, it's I feel like it's an all three combined word, right? But those are the things that we need to stick onto, to latch onto when we feel like things are not making sense, when we feel like, God, where are you taking me with this? Like, where is this even going? Like, is it making sense? Am I doing this for nothing? Is there a purpose in this? And I'm here to tell you there is purpose in your pain. All the pain that I've gone through, there has been a purpose. I have seen it, I have witnesses, and I've used it to help other people, right? That's the good thing about God. All things work together for the good of those that love God and are called according to his purpose. Your pain won't be wasted. And that's another tea time that you got to catch up on and listen to. But I'm just here to tell you, if you have been feeling like I've been feeling, right? A little discouraged, a little dismotivated, a little like, God, where are you? Why, why do I have to go through this? Why do I feel like I'm sacrificing? Why am I doing maybe even the right things and things are just not planning out? Because that's how I've been feeling, right? Like, what am I doing all this for? Why am I doing the right things and things are just not pushing forward? Like, what is going on, right? Believe, right? Trust in God, have faith, and be loyal to him, and know, right, that there is a purpose, and know that the pieces will fall together, right? If you haven't read the story of Moses, absolutely read it. Absolutely read that story. It's obviously, I mean, I've seen like the Netflix shows and all like the videos and movies of it, but when you actually read the word, you get revelation, and God shows you different things that you can't see in the movies, and you can't see in those shows. And this was something that I definitely took from it. It helped me understand that there are things in this season that are going to be asked of me to do that just don't make sense at all, right? And they seem like they don't have purpose, but they do. And the pieces will fall together later on. And that will be used so God could dwell. So he could dwell in me, so he can bless me, so he can be closer to me, so we can have a closer relationship, right? Because that is what he wants. He wants true relationship with us. All right? Not religion, right? Relationship. That is what he wants. And there's no better friend than God. There is no better friend. There's nobody that wants to bless you more. There's nobody that loves you more. God. God is it. So I hope that you guys take this in. And if you've been feeling like I've been feeling, trust, right? Trust, believe, have faith, and be loyal to the end, because the pieces will fall into place. The pieces will fall into place. Okay? And when they do for me, because I'm trusting, I'm in that season, I'm in it with you guys, right? I feel like my tea time is different because I'm not like at the other side of the road yet, right? I'm not I'm taking you guys through the trenches with me. Like, I am human and I go through things, and there are times where I do question God, right? And I do question the things that I do, right? And I'm learning that it's all part of the process. And as long as I trust and have faith and be loyal to God and stay with him, right? Especially when things look like this, there will be a reward for me. There will be a reward for you, because God keeps his promises. All right, Tea Time Familia. That's all that I had for you guys. I hope you guys have an amazing rest of your day, right? And be back for some more Tea Time with your girl Marie here. Have a good day.